So good day everybody. This is gonna be a very amateur video about the Meike 35mm f1.7 for APS-C sensors, in particular for the Alpha 6000, which is the camera that I have. This lens is very cheap. It's 60 quid here in UK, and it is a fully manual lens, but the peculiarity of this lens, of course, is that it has a very big aperture at 1.7. It's rather good, and the closest to this is the Sony 35mm 1.8, which of course includes autofocus and stabilization. However, that lens is about 300 width, if I recall correctly, and I used it, and it had a magenta and green autofocus, how to put it, silhouettes, and I didn't like that lens for a lot of reasons, and one of them was that. But so this lens came in, and you don't buy one lens like this for image quality. You look bokeh and other stuff, which is what I am going to try to show about this lens, because there is little to no information about it. So anyway, the build quality, it is okay. I mean, the lens, at least in the exterior, feels very nice. It has a very soft focus ring. However, you must note that it goes out. The lens, when you turn the focus ring, goes forward and goes backward a bit. This the front element does not rotate, but this is this has an effect on the photo that something called focus breathing, and so it changes a bit the focal distance, and you can see basically the image becoming a bit wider and returning back to normal if you're playing with the lens like this. So anyway, the only thing that I would like to remark is that this lens, if you see these particular things here, is this trapezoid in there. These are supposed to be black, of course, to avoid reflections. I cannot show it properly here, but there is two of them which have which the paint, the black paint, has scratched it. I mean, you can see that it's silverish, which again, for the purposes of this lens, it doesn't bother me, but still it notes about the quality of the lens. That's the only remark that I can make about the bad remark that I can make about it, but otherwise the lens feels very good. The aperture has 9 blades, which is something really nice. Yeah, there it is. You can see it how I open it, how I close it. Probably cannot be seen very well in the video, but if you count the blades, there are 9 of them. It's rather nice. It gives a very pleasant bokeh. So finally, as a side note, you get a pouch where to put the lens, a lens cap, which doesn't screws in. It's you just basically put it and attach it to the front part. You can use it even with a filter like this, which I use, and you also receive a cloth. So very well, I will proceed then to my computer and show you some images that I took with this lens. So now with the computer, this is some photos that I took used outside in a very cloudy day. And here in this photo, I was trying to focus this part. The photo was taken at f8, and I was trying to focus this part around the post, this lamp. So I am impressed certainly by the amount of detail I can get out of this lens. It is quite bit. It has quite a bit of detail in it, and you can see a lot of foliage and a bit of chromatic aberrations here, but they are very minimal. I mean, this can be corrected in post, and well, I think the images speak by themselves, but I will show what different apertures, because effect, if a lens looks bad in effect, it is a bad lens. And but again, a lot of detail. The image might look a bit of color because the camera was put in vivid mode. That was done on purpose. So that's great for that image. In the next one, I tried to directly focus the center part again, and just to show just to try to capture as much detail as I could get. And again, the lens does a very good job in the center part, and although there is not much information on the corners, perhaps in the corners you can begin to see that there is a bit of loss of detail. But then again, might be used that this foliage here, it is a bit far from the field of view. But other than that, I'm really impressed by the amount of detail this lens is delivering. I mean, for 60 quid, and you could argue that you can buy adapters and put some legacy glass in it, but for 60 quid you don't get very good legacy glass. And even if you do get very good legacy glass, the size compared to this Meike 35mm, it is including the size of the adapter plus the legacy lens, it's just more compact than Meike option. Meike, I don't know how to say it. Anyway, that's good. So we proceed then. This is to another image. This image was taken with focus to infinity. So I was trying to see if there is any, if there is how to put it, any difference by focusing at infinity. And let's see. Well, I assume all these buildings are not exactly at infinity, and hence that's why they look a bit blurred. And I am still at f8. Overall, the image looks soft, but again, I am focusing at infinity. I must note, however, that the lens has a bit of a curvature, so it deforms the image quite a bit, but this can also be fixed in post. So that was focus at infinity in that part. Then we follow this other, the same and the same and the same thing, that the overall the image looks a bit blurrish, but again I was focusing at the infinity. You can see a bit of chromatic aberrations here, and you can also see how the image is a bit deformed by the lens. Overall, even when it is blurred, it looks good in my opinion. So in this photo I was deliberately trying to focus this black thing in here, and again actual size, and it seems that I did a good job, and lots of detail here. I'm really impressed by this lens at this price point. And then a bit of chromatic aberrations when you go out of the image. And here we can see quite a bit of detail even when it is an extreme corner. It becomes blurry. I would say about this part becomes a bit blurrier, but everything else remains sharp. Yeah, it is the same effect here. You can see that it becomes blurry about this part. And well, we can see that because of the sky. So I changed the aperture to f1.7 just to see how it behaves in wide open, and also because the day, because it was very cloudy, it allowed it. It has a. I took this photo with a high shutter speed around. Let me see. 1/2500 of a sec. So yeah, let's see if total size. Again, I was trying to focus this same part about here, and the chromatic aberrations become much more prominent. Most of the lenses that I know become a bit blurry at having the aperture in at their biggest. So I'm not surprised. Again, when you use these apertures mostly to get bokeh or in low light situations, you can really see here this cast of magenta, which is what it was not there when it was at f8, and yeah, overall it loses quite a bit of detail at 1.7. Not denying that. The center, I say it's okay. However, I put my focus around here. Perhaps I moved a bit, but it looks quite okay at the center, but it rapidly becomes blurrier. So again, so I'm gonna put this back to fit the window. It doesn't look bad if you see the overall picture. If you are pixel pepping, you will notice like the blurriness in the. Doesn't bother me that much. Now following again the same photo of this tree at the f1.7, so actual size again, and here I can see that the center remains with quite a bit of detail again, which is great, and it becomes blurrier. It doesn't decay that fast, but it becomes blurrier. Of course, this can also be expected for the wide aperture because the field of view becomes much narrower. And again, we still retain a bit of detail, but I would say that the main problem here is the chromatic aberrations are very wide apertures, and even so it's not that bad. The Sony option also had them, and I didn't like them either. but that can be corrected in post, thankfully. And overall the center part, it's great. I like how the center part looks. I mean, it is kind of more a portrait lens, definitely. So again, we go to the window and we go to the next photo. The same stuff, focus at infinity at 1.7. Everything becomes much more blurrier. So just for the sake of it, again, the magenta cast here, chromatic aberration, sorry. Well, not much to show here. We follow with the other photo, again, the same stuff. Everything becomes blurrier, even more blurrier now, because field of view at infinity, at 1.7. So again, the same picture here at 1.7, trying to focus this black thing. Again, the center retains quite a bit of detail and becomes blurrier, and this magenta thing here. All good so far. I mean, when the detail is kept on the center, the image really looks very good. So fit the window. Now the following photos are the same thing, black thing here that I try to focus, but I changed the aperture. In this case, this was at 2.8. So we go on and just to try to see if how much the lens improves. So for example, at 2.8, these chromatic aberrations really are quite decreased, and you can see here that whereas in the other photo, look at the whole stuff purple-ish, no, or magenta-ish, it disappears considerably. So that's great. But it is there nevertheless, but hey. The detail is much more prominent from the center to the sides. And that's it. So the window, go to the next one. This was at f4, an actual size. A lot of detail just came back from the image. I mean, the other looks good, there is no denying, but except for the chromatic aberrations. But when you lower the aperture, you begin to see quite a bit more detail. Again, having now a lens of 1.7, you get those for low light performance or for bokeh stuff. And at 60 quid, I just cannot fault it. You can see that now the chromatic aberrations here begin really to vanish. The only part I can see here is this part, but the one that was here disappeared as well. Let's see the car. The car was the one that had a lot. Look, the chromatic aberrations of the car now just is slightly part, but everything else, and this other, but everything else that was here disappeared entirely. So maybe the window. The next one, it was at f8, or let me see. No, the next one, this one, it is at f16. So actual size again. So almost everything should be in focus, but still we see that there is this part becomes blurrier, and that's not fault of the field of view with chromatic aberration here. Actually, yeah, the chromatic aberrations here diminish again, but not completely disappear it. And here the same, yeah. Overall good. No complaints there at f16. I still like it more the one at f8 and f4. So then the last one is at f22. So of course I had to lower the shutter speed at properties around 100 of a sec. So again, actual size. Yeah, well, it becomes blurrier, but I think this is by diffraction. The whole picture actually looks blurry, so yeah, f22 is not that great. But then again, we are reaching pinhole, almost a pinhole in there, and those images have never been exactly the sharpest ones. But hey, this has its uses somewhere, I suppose. So yeah. So now, what about bokeh? Let me put this to fit the window. Bokeh, boom. So this is a photo of my mouse, and when we are looking at bokeh, there is no point of actually checking other objects outside of the center part, if you wish to say. Oh, well, we do observe the autofocus details, that it is nice, and in this case, I'm very sharp in the center. I had to up the ISO here, as this is an indoor photo, and so perhaps a bit of detail was lost in there. You can see that the ISO, it's around 640 here. So, but overall, I really like how soft and the autofocus details become. Very, very soft. This is something I did not get that well with the. I had also the size 28 at 1.8, and I sometimes it was hard for me to guess this part. Don't get me wrong. I mean, the size is really good lens and really pretty colors. But I also had a Q100 camera, which is one of those that you use the cell phone to take the photo and then wirelessly sends the instruction to this camera and takes a photo. And I had a bokeh like this, and I could not replicate that same effect with the size lens. I don't know why. I tried it, but at least this lens give me this nice blur of the when the field of view outside of the field of view. And so that's something I was not able to do with the size one. Perhaps because the size is a very contrasty lens as well. Anyway, the thing about that lens, and I also I bought it and sold it again, is that, honestly speaking, for the uses that I had for it, like these random images about objects, to get bokeh was very little, so diminishing returns. So we go again with my recording microphone, you wish to say, because this is a recorder and this is the microphone that I am using right now. In this case, I took this photo having the focus on the microphone mesh. Let me put this thing. Yeah, I put it here. And yes, this has a bit of green as well, but it is nowhere near compared to the Sony one. I was really disappointed with the Sony 35 1.8 because of that reason. This is very minimal. But yeah, it's still there, the magenta color with the chromatic aberrations. But again, I really love how soft, how the bokeh becomes here. And for 60 quid, I mean, precisely because I use this lens more indoors, I think that the autofocus and stabilization is not that needed for me. And that's why I think it's a very good value. However, again, I also have a zoom lens, the Cell 18-105G, that is a very good all-around lens. This Meike lens, it is more to have fun, to have fun with objects you have lying around, or if you want a portrait photo of I don't know, for example, for Amazon or for eBay. So you want to sell something and you want to look and to make it look very appealing, you take photos like this. Very well, that will be everything. And in conclusion, it is a very good lens at 60 quid. It has its problems with chromatic aberrations, especially at very high apertures. However, at f4 to f16 more or less, it is a very good range for the lens, for the chromatic aberrations to disappear. And it has very good bokeh at 1.7, very good bokeh, and the center sharpness is really great, with the corners becoming blurrier, but this is a very minimal part of the corner, and especially about f 2.8 onwards. And again, this is an informal review. You have a question, you can put it in the comments. Otherwise, thanks for watching and have a nice day. Bye bye.